Hi, everybody. Welcome to Conversation with Calvin, We the Species. You know what? I'm with Diane Hayworth, and we almost didn't go on air because we've been talking and talking for like the last hour, and I didn't want to stop talking to Diane, but I had to slap myself in the face like Cher did with Nicolas Cage in the movie Moonstruck. Snap out of it, Calvin. Snap out of it. Why? Because Diane, as the creator of Be Love Principles and so much more. She calls herself a practical mystic. She can talk about that, but her spiritual journey and the things she's doing, right up my alley because this stuff is so precious and important to me, and the fact that we're all human and we all need love and gratitude. All these wonderful things is Diane, especially the Be Love Principles and her journey to spirit is absolutely precious to me because it means so much to me because it's part of my life. As people know, I wrote there's a tortoise in my hair journey to spirit to talk about my journey to spirit, and now we're going to talk about Diane's journey to spirit and the amazing work that she does at Be Love Principles. And I'm doing my research, and along the way, I got papers and notes here all over the place, Diane. You got a BS, Mass Communications, an MBA. There's all kinds of education there. And you also have joy from grandchildren. So do I. So we have so many synchronicities and commonalities and stuff. So I could talk for another hour just introducing you, which I won't. But why don't you do a little background and then we'll jump into some things. Take it away, Diane.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. And I think one of the reasons that our chat was extensive is because we were having fun. We were not only finding that common experiences, grounding, all of that sort of thing, but when you find people, places, ideas that just spark that joy for you, it's just fun to follow. And like that's it for me. What My life was not fun. It was not fun at all for a long time. And I just kept thinking, I grew up in a tiny, teeny tiny little town here in Virginia. It's about 50 miles southwest of Washington, D.C., which back when I was growing up was the boonies, not now, but it was. And it just, things didn't work for me. They just weren't working. So it's funny when I think of how my life has evolved because growing up, back when I was growing up, I remember the teacher saying, Diane, what do you want to be when you grow up? Here's your choices: ballerina. You could be a ballerina, a teacher, or a nurse. I was thinking, yeah, none of those super resonate with me. And we were Presbyterian, so none was off the table. Like that wasn't an option. I think so many of us, just like you, Calvin, and I bet so many people that are watching this, we're just looking for ways to have a more satisfying, joyful, loving life. That's it. I found it. Let me put it this way. I found the more that I looked out here, the more that I took webinars and I watched Oprah and I read books and I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, including, going to a lovely little church. This was never as powerful as when I really understood that that joy of life, that joy of living life came for me when the more and more I become aligned to that, what I call the divine inner heart, that wisdom that we all are, that spark of God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it. But when we get more aligned to that, not only is our life happier, but we're more equipped, I think, to live a life. Because I want to make sure I say this. It's not like I get on top of my unicorn and jump over rainbows all day. There are people in my life die. There are, we experience COVID. There's issues just like any other life. And the more I align to that guidance of divine love, what I find, Calvin, is on the seas of life, I can float as opposed to being overtaken by those waves. Doesn't mean it doesn't get scary. But when I trust in that divine part of me, that changes my perspective on everything. And that's really the essence of what I teach.
Wow. Which we will kind of dissect a bit. So, tell us about your journey. What events or experiences in your life prepared you to receive what you call direct divine download? I saw that somewhere, direct divine download. That became Be Love Principles.
Yep. I think there was a few things. 40 years ago now, the birth of my first child, my daughter, I had a near-death experience. Now, that was before we knew what near-death experiences were. That was 1985. There was no internet. There certainly wasn't any books like that in my little library. It wasn't anything I had ever understood or knew anybody that had experienced. But because of that, we now know many people who study brain science say that there is a biological change that occurs in people who've experienced this. So did that help? Maybe. I can tell you this, after that experience, I never, ever, ever feared death. I feared pain, but I never feared death.
Wow.
I understood just my perspective. I understood there was something beyond our physical reality. There was something beyond our human consciousness, and that it was all encompassing. It was love. It was compassion. There's really not words to describe it, but that would be the first thing I think that really kind of prepped me for that. The other is I started meditating. So I've been meditating now for over 30 years. That changes your brain as well. And I mean, I've done everything from the 20 minutes in the morning, and some mornings it's just take a few deep breaths, right? But I've also meditated in big groups of like 800 people where we meditate for 4 or 5 hours at a time. I've had various experiences with that kind of meditation, but I really just want to make sure that I say I am I'm just from a tiny little town in Virginia. I just am a regular person. I was going to church, I was doing everything and following these little threads of, you know what? It wasn't a thread. It was like I would feel somebody or something was beckoning me. Let's look at meditation. There was this beckoning, this soft beckoning coming from, I don't know where it was at the time. Now I believe it was this divine guidance. But just this gentle, come this way, come this way. And I started following that. And I think that as I also started to look at mystical texts, I'm a student of A Course in Miracles. That's all about love and fear. All of these things, I think, bring all of us to the perfect place every second of every day where we're supposed to be for our individual evolution, I guess is the way we would say that. To me, it's all invitations from love to go deeper and deeper into that alignment of spirit, which to me is the truth of who you really are. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I'm sitting here looking at my ancestors and the love that they still continue to send.
Absolutely.
Powerful stuff. Powerful, powerful stuff. I wish more of us could feel that, and that's your mission. For more of us to feel that and understand that and reach for it and make it part of your life. Because you said it before, you're just a regular person. So am I. You like Virginia Tech football. I like Rutgers football. I mean, that's regular stuff.
It's just regular stuff. And I didn't grow up with this. I mean, the idea of a spiritual coach wasn't even a thing when coaching as an industry wasn't a thing outside of athletics. certainly not personal development, personal transformation, none of that, right? And unless you went to the real mystical text, the autobiography of the yogi and the mystic teachings of Jesus, John of the Cross, all of these kinds of things, and then in other cultures as well, right? Um, but that didn't come up. It was more like, do you know how to baste a turkey? Okay, well, no, but grandma will tell me how to do it. That's that was the kind of thing that I grew up with. There were little expectations outside of grow up, go to school, become a wife, a mother, go to work, get a retirement, rock some grandbabies. That was the expectation. And I just was something that, yeah, there was something there that was missing for me. And it was that curiosity. And that's what I encourage people to do. Just follow that thread of curiosity. And for me, it was always, I was a big worrier. I worried about everything. What if this place of inner peace, what if that is a real thing? What if it is possible that I can wake up feeling hopeful and excited for the day, especially in the times we're living in now, right? And that does not mean we deny anything. It means that, from the way I believe, we bring love to whatever challenges, invitations, events are occurring, and not the love of attachment. Maybe that's a good thing to mention here. When I use the word love, to me, that's interchangeable with God, universe, source. So whatever you think is intelligent, creative, expansive, that intelligent, creative, expansive energy that beats your heart and mind, that makes the tides come in and out, that creates galaxies, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, that is in you, me, everybody that's ever been and ever will be. That's it.
Yeah.
And when we think of these, and they really do seem like absolutely astronomical issues we have, it's not bigger than creating a galaxy. I don't think. It's just a matter, are we talking to each other with our heads, our personalities, and our egos, or are we really trying to make heart connections? And that's what I try to do.
So needed. So needed. I'm so bored listening to you. But I don't know if if you saw me. I'm one of the rare interviewers who take notes. I'm, I'm taking notes on you, Diane. Just
Well,
key
like,
words, just key words, anyway, um, before 2018, what was your spiritual practice like? Had you, I don't know if you had worked with like mystic texts and teachers and stuff like that. What type of traditions back then influenced you most?
so certainly the meditation, that was, I mean, since the mid 90s, and that I learned to do that from a Presbyterian minister, by the way. Um, Meditation was just a standard. I started journaling. Journaling was just a wonderful way to not only get out of my own head, but to allow messages that were coming from the unconscious, my guidance, whatever it was, that was coming through that way. Probably around 2008, I became really serious with A Course in Miracles, which is considered a mystical text. In that book, which celebrates 50 years here, 1920, I mean, in 2025, it's been published 50 years now. There is a huge text, what we call the text, and there's also a daily lesson, 365 daily lessons. And I found year after year going through those lessons really helped me move past illusions. And illusions to me would be, you talk to your friend and your friend says something that just kind of lands with you wrong, and all of a sudden, if you're me, you've made up this big story in your head. Oh, I can't believe she did that, she must hate me, blah blah blah. None of that's real. That's the illusion. Maybe she had a stomach ache and she just needed to get off the phone, who knows? But it helped me cut through that external noise. and really just fanned the flames of my desire to really be more and more aligned with that inner truth. That just made sense to me. I know that sometimes the people who talk and teach the way that we do, it seems woo woo or out there. To me, I'm very practical. I mean, it has to, I'm just very practical. A Course in Miracles to me is a really practical way to move through the noise, the external noise in my life, and get back to those invitations that take me back to the heart and the truth of who I am and who you are. Everybody is. It's that, what I call the divine spark.
And we talked about perceived miracles in my life that I call, and it's funny you used the word something before, something beyond, and in my book, and I read about that's one of my favorite words, something. It's just a beautiful word, something. Hey, it's something, and everybody can define what they want something to be. What was the moment like in 2018 when you asked, uh, and I'm quoting you, love, what do you most want me to know today? How clear was that message? Were you surprised? Was there resistance? Was there fear, doubt? I mean, that's a powerful message that you got.
Well, I tell you, I'll back up a little bit. For years, I had journaled in the morning, love, what do you most want me to know today? So actually, when I received the Be Love principles, I was in I was in Toronto and I was in a workshop. And my mentor, Dr. Robert Holden, is the one that taught me that phrase. We were doing an exercise, and I have to say, I was feeling pretty cocky about it because I thought, oh, I do this all the time. This is not going to be a big deal. And it was a big deal. I had a full bodied experience, which does not happen to me all the time. Usually I'll get a message, I'll feel something, I'll write something down. We were actually paired in for an exercise in this workshop, and we were to imagine we were seated on a foundation of love, quietly go inside and ask, love, what would you most like me to know today? And it was like I was instantly transformed. It was like I was watching a movie of myself in my life. That doesn't happen every day, Calvin. That's not how it works.
No,
So I had this experience where I was given the Be Love principles, and I don't know if you want me to go into it now or how you want to
that's
do
my
that.
next question.
Okay.
Funny you mentioned that. That's my next. Yes, you can go
So
right into that. The Be Love the
so
principles, greet everybody with an open.
yep.
You take it. You take it.
So it's going to take me a few minutes to explain it, but literally it happened like that.
Wow.
So, in this vision I had, this full bodied vision, I am watching myself walk up the stairs to my daughter's house. Now, when I had asked the question, love, what do you most want me to know today? I heard, like it was outside my head, I heard, be love. Now, I didn't know what that meant. So this vision starts. I see myself walking up the steps to my daughter's house. And at that time, my grandson was about 18 months old. So he's behind this glass door and he sees me and I see him. And again, I am watching this scene like I'm in a movie. I'm watching it. I could see the energy of love going from his heart to mine and my heart to his. It was love responding to love. And I heard, greet everyone with an open heart without an agenda. Now, certainly the grandparents know what that means. And perfect, it was the perfect vision for me because this little being, that's how I always greet him. That's how I always greet him. So that was beautiful. The next second, I'm inside the house and it's just he and I'm looking at him, and he's, of course, the most adorable child that's ever lived, of course, like we all think. But as I'm looking at him, I see this energy in his chest. It's like I'm looking through him, and see the divine essence in everyone and everything. The next second, we're in their family room. And again, it's just my grandson and I, and he's little, and he had some wooden blocks. He really did have these wooden blocks, and he tossed one to me. But again, he's a toddler, and he hits me in the cheek. And of course, I think, he's a kid. He doesn't know what he did. And I hear, forgive quickly, completely, and unconditionally. And then the next second, I am in a darkened space and I can just barely see the outline of a door, and the door just starts to swing and outpours this light. And I've spoken about this before. I've never been to Mardi Gras, but this is kind of the energy I think Mardi Gras would be. It was just joyful and happy and just exuberant. And it was overwhelming. Just that little tiny sliver was, I started weeping. It was just almost too much. And I heard, you never left the light of the all. Remember, you never left the light of the all. And then just like that, I was back. My eyes were open. This poor lady that was my partner is wondering what has happened. And literally, I thought somebody might have drugged my coffee because
Wow.
I was in a big conference, and I just never had anything happen like that before. And
Wow.
it took me a long time to integrate that, actually. I actually lost my voice for 10 days, I think it was after that.
Wow. So for people hearing what you just talked about for the first time,
Yep.
which of these four principles is the hardest to like embody, to absorb, and why?
Oh,
Uh,
Calvin, I think we all know the reason. I think we all know, I think we all know the answer to that. I'll say that after I got these and I started working with them and I got past the what the heck is this and what am I supposed to do with it kind of thing, I started working with each principle 1 week at a time. And when people go to my website, they can see all kinds of resources and do that if they'd like. And I thought, you could use them individually, which you can. But what I have learned is when you bring a situation or a challenge and work through that challenge with all of them, it shifts your perspective. Of those three, the forgiveness one, right? That's the one that most people get hung up on. When you do the first one and the second one, the third one shifts. I can say that helps you. It also helps when I'm doing this in a class or I'm speaking from stage. We're not saying that forgiving someone condones their behavior. If you need to take legal action against someone, then you do it. We're not condoning behavior. What we're saying is, in that act of forgiveness, even your willingness to forgive, it's really not their soul self that did something to your soul self. It's like an ego to an ego thing. Not to diminish the trauma that people live through, because that's not my intent at all. But when we hold on to the energy of resentment, regret, fear, biologically and psychologically, we are the ones that suffer. It makes an awful lot of sense to our egos to hold resentments in place, because our egos will feel like, well, this is going to protect me. I'm never going to let anybody do that again. And I absolutely understand why people would think that. And when I have individual clients, we work through all kinds of processes. What I would invite people to consider is anytime you're putting barriers up, probably for whatever you think are very good reasons, and we should have healthy boundaries. That's different than a barrier. Healthy boundaries are good. But what I would invite you to consider is, are you putting up barriers to love as well? Are you cutting yourself off from loving, compassionate, fun adventures? Is that possible? But the forgiveness one, that's the one that people stumble over. It certainly was something that took me a long time to get my head around.
well, I'm right there. when I was putting this all together and reading, and I saw the forgive stuff, uh, um, I had to loosen my collar because
I
that's
get it.
me all over the place. It's been that way. It's been that way basically most of my conscious life, that forgiveness stuff. It's not been, it's just not it's just a massive negative energy. I know that.
It
And
is constricting. So
yeah,
that's the other thing that I would say to my clients and my students. I'll say, how does this feel? If you are feeling constricted, and I know for me, my shoulders like end up being my earrings and it's terrible bumps and everything hurts. Love is open and expansive. It's much more relaxed. So, yeah, pay attention to how you feel emotionally and physically, and absolutely get any professional help you need to help you through traumas. Absolutely. This is just this process, I will say, shifted my entire life. And I'm sure you know this, Calvin, and I bet most of these people that are going to watch this, the number one person we usually need to forgive is ourselves. And that's always seen, in my experience, has been the hardest. That's
so
always been the hardest.
that was just funny. You always answer my questions before I ask, because that was my next. What's the hardest thing to forgive? And it's yourself.
Oh, it's always yourself. You're right.
Yep, yep, yep.
And one of the things that, oh gosh, lots of people teach, and it's in a lot of the text, and that is your power is always in the present, always in the present. You can't do anything about what happened 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 years, 50 years ago. Your point of power is always in the present. That's where you transform. That's where you shift. That's where you open to more love. It's always in the now. And the good thing about the now is if you've missed this one, you got another one coming up. It's right there.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody wrote. It's Eckhart Tolle wrote a book
Yep.
about the power of now,
Yep. Great
and
book.
yeah, and actually that I'm not a generally speaking, I'm not a big self-help guy. Well, I wasn't. I am now, but for a big chunk of my life, I wasn't. Uh, and actually, I explore that in my book because I love tennis and I played tennis for 25 years. And people used to ask me all the time, "Hey, Calvin, I know you never took any tennis lessons. You've been playing for 25 years. How come you never took any tennis lessons?" So my retort was, well, whoever invented the game of tennis never took lessons, so why should I?
You're
So
not wrong.
maybe it's a guy thing, maybe it's a chromosomal thing. I never ask directions when I get lost, and this is before the days of GPS. Anyway, um, um, moving on, the idea of remembering you are the light suggests that we never left the
That's
light.
what I was told. You never left the light of
Never
the
left the
island.
light. And so that's both mystical and kind of psychological that we never left the light. So how do you help people deal with um, people who have like guilt and trauma and shame to embody the light?
Well, there's a couple things, and of course, it depends on their specific situation, but generally, I help people understand that the way I look at it and the way in the mystical text they'll talk about it is think about it this way. Think of this line that is like a horizontal line that would come right at the heart center. This is your lifeline, right? This is your progression as a human. That's this line. Then you have a line that runs from heaven to earth. That's your divinity line. So if you think of a cross, right, it stops right here at the heart. That's our goal, to live as fully divine and fully human.
Uh,
Where is that intersection,
uh,
right? So, as the most loving, compassionate human we can be, and with the grace to understand some days are better than others. So, I always want people to just be so tender with themselves, first of all. this life thing is not easy. It's not easy. And we haven't been given a whole lot of instruction from the outside. The more we can go inside, and sometimes, depending on what kind of trauma someone has, we have to help them um, become more peaceful. And there's certainly tools like meditation that helps with that. Breathing helps with that. If somebody needs to be seen by a mental health professional, I always do that. But I will help lead them through the Be Love principles. And we will use what I call a focus event or person. We'll think about that person and we will take them through the principles. And that helps shift their perspective. So in the beginning, they'll usually have this very constricted, this is what happened, I'm mad, this is terrible, they shouldn't have done this. I'm not looking to change their reality. All the principles do is help you go from a very constricted personality viewpoint to a more expanded divine one. So think about it this way. Your view is different on the first floor of a 100-story building than
Wow,
it is from the 100th floor.
I like that.
You see more, you experience more, you understand things differently than when you were down here and you could only see this much.
I like that.
Yeah. So it's not ever about condemnation. It's never about you should have done that, you should have done this. It's about how do we bring more love to this present moment. One of the things that a tool that I offer people came to me actually when I was in a waiting room when my dad was ill and had been ill for months and months. And it just came to me, what does love look like here? And how does love move me forward? What does love look like here? And how does love move me forward? And when you start looking from that perspective, you can see love reflected everywhere. If you're looking for it, I had a meme one time that said, if you look for devils, you see devils. If you look for angels, you see angels. So why not look for the angels? Why not look there? And then how is love beckoning you forward? Because I can tell you this, any issue you've ever had, I'll speak to myself. Any issue I've ever had, pretty much came from me, my little hard-headed ego personality. I never had those kind of issues when I truly followed my heart, my divine heart. And I'm not talking follow my heart when I'm an 18-year-old teenager. That's a different thing. I'm talking about being in that mature place where you really understand what this pull of spirit is, what that guidance is.
Okay. Deep breath time. I didn't forewarn you. It's not a warning, but sometimes I like to drift off topic a little bit. It's part of my journalistic background and following the tenets of Barbara Walters. So here's a couple of off-topic questions.
Okay.
Uh, Simple. They're all simple things. You don't even have to answer it if you're some. Here goes. Scenario one, Diane. Excluding family or friends,
Yeah.
somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with. It could be a couple. There's no rules.
Excluding someone I know personally?
Yeah. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
Oh, Yogananda.
Great answer.
Yogananda or Helen and Bill, and they are the ones that brought A Course in Miracles to life, actually. Helen Schuckman. That'd be fun too.
Great answer.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
fun too.
do you have some favorite movies?
I do, and I bet you're not going to guess what it is. One of my favorite movies of all time is Jaws.
Wow.
Nobody ever sees that coming.
Not at all. Boy,
Yeah.
talk
Um,
about left field. My goodness.
yeah, and I tell you why. It was so revolutionary at the time from a cinematography, right, perspective. It was the same year I graduated high school.
Okay.
So it was a big part of that spring. I told you I'm a fearful person. I certainly was a fearful person. That thing was freaking terrifying.
No kidding.
And there was all of this, it's so symbolic. There were these, that music, because in real life, their mechanical shark didn't work. So they created tension through that music, right? That just was so indicative to me of all these fears I had that
Wow.
are coming at me. Where are they? I can't see them. I
Wow.
don't know what's happening. It was just really, really interesting. But yeah, yeah, there you go. I knew you wouldn't guess that one. And also
I would have never,
Christmas
never.
Vacation and Muppets Merry Christmas. I like all those too.
Okay. Wow. Um, Never. I would have never. And you know, the funny thing is, and this is a true story. I don't know what it means. Maybe I need to be analyzed. But after I saw that movie, I've never gone in the ocean again.
Oh, you're not the only one. You're not the only
Never gone in the
one.
ocean.
Yeah, that's the power. I think that was another thing I really learned early on, the power of storytelling, the power of the way things are presented. And of course, in what you and I do now, yeah, it was just really interesting to learn.
Yeah, the power and it's funny. I watch the first half. I enjoy the first half. I don't like the part on the boat. Um, so I don't watch the part on the boat, but leading up to the boat, you know, with Sheriff Brody
Yep.
and the kids, and of course Richard Dreyfuss. I watch that often. Just the first half, just
Yep.
the whole setup. I enjoy. Okay, getting back to we're okay with time here. We can
Yeah.
do some
Yep.
more.
We're fine.
Okay,
Oh,
okay,
I do want to say about the shark part. I
yeah.
don't really want to blow up sharks. And actually, these are all bracelets that signify shark conservation.
Wow.
So even out of that terrible situation,
Wow.
there has been this movement for people to understand those creatures at a different level.
Yeah,
And you can thank Steven Spielberg and Jaws for that.
yeah, and I mean, sharks been around millions of years. They're a miracle of
Oh,
survival. There's no evolution there. Whatever they were a million years ago, they're still the same.
amazing,
Yeah,
amazing creatures.
truly. And you know,
Amazing.
they just as Richard Dreyfuss said in the movie, they just swim around their little territory. They're territorial. I remember he said they carve out a little 1 mile by 1 mile. That's their thing. Leave them alone, or they'll eat you.
He
Uh,
says they swim, eat, and make baby sharks.
that's right. That's exactly what he said.
Mhm.
Okay. Spiritual teachings often feel beautiful if you're in like in a retreat or in meditation settings and stuff. But it's kind of really it's harder to do in daily life with relationships and financials and work and family. Are there any pitfalls you see when people try to translate the be love principles um, into daily living?
I would say for the principles in any kind of spiritual practice, it all comes down to consistency, right? Is this something you're playing with, or is this something you're really embodying and living through? We spoke before we started recording that a few months ago, my husband got sick. Well, he had been having some issues. We didn't know what he had, but we discovered on April 4th that he had stage 4 cancer. It had already spread to multiple organs.
Hmm.
And on the 21st of April, which is my birthday, he passed. So 18
Wow.
days.
That fast.
Yeah. And I can tell you that as horrible as that was, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, because of the practices I have in my beliefs, right? It's not just your practices. What do you believe? What do you know to be true? I knew that we were being held by love every step of the way, no matter how painful that step was. And the way my adult kids came together to love him and each other through it was just magnificent. It was just magnificent. So I can tell you from very recent experience that you don't learn these things because something terrible might happen, but they help support you in those dark days of everybody's life, as well as make the highs even higher. This can be with the principles or any practice like that, right? When you have a joyful, happy situation, it's like that is also intensified when it is fueled by love. But the pitfall is not sticking and really understanding to a practice or something that you're attracted to. That's when it falls away. And, there's plenty of times where I have to step back and take a breath and go, wait a minute, what do I know to be true here? Right? There's a big difference between, in those 18 days, I know that people would use the word accept to me a lot. I chose to accept that my husband was sick and he was not going to get better. But I allowed and invited love in to support us in that last journey. And as you and I talked about before too, the journey is not the earthly journey between the two of us are gone, but the love doesn't die. That's now we're in that love reacts to love place. Yeah. And it doesn't mean there aren't hard days and I don't cry. And of course I do. But it is a, yeah, it's just it is part of this journey that I have on this life.
As I before I went on air, I gave you an example of my mother stepping out of that picture up there and typing "mom," on my phone after I spent a couple days trying to channel, my mother. And so she came out and she typed "mom," and I asked about 50 people who are all techie in one shape, way, or form, how does that happen? I don't have voice activation. I don't have voice activation. I didn't type it. I thought it and felt it, and she's there, and I listened to her favorite music for 2 days, and I was at an impasse in writing, and I needed her around to give me that swift kick like she used to do, and she did. So that's powerful stuff. This is just my understanding. We're here. This is just kind of like a way station. We learn some things and we love and we experience, but there's just things beyond our comprehension. And infinity is a long time to spend with people who are meaningful. Whatever. I'm just kind of rambling
Well, you
here.
make a good point though, and I want to go back to your mother. How long has it been since your mother passed?
It's about 20 years.
So your mom and my mom passed about the same time. Do you love her any less?
Not at all. And
Yeah,
probably even more because you realize, I think even more, the love grows. Even she's
there
not,
you go.
but it grows because you realize all she was. And unfortunately, you don't appreciate. You can't because we're just too young to fully grasp and appreciate all that she was and the wisdom and the things that she did and forever being a mother.
Yeah.
And so the love grows. And
I hope people hear that. The love, and it's really our understanding as humans that allow the love to grow because the love is just love. So many times people will say to me, especially in a romantic situation, well, love hurt me. And I'm like, no, love didn't hurt you. Some jerky ex-boyfriend might have hurt you, or some ex-wife that did whatever. That maybe they hurt you, their actions hurt you, but love did not hurt you. Love can only love. That's it. And it is not contained in these bodies.
right.
And I appreciate you sharing that about your mother because that's the perfect explanation. Love does not die just
No,
because this
uh,
does.
I think it gets stronger. The love of my grandfather. It's interesting. I spent 5 years writing. I spent 10 years. My first book I wrote because he stuck that into my consciousness.
Yep.
I've proven. And the second book I wrote, part of it really is the journey of my beginning to understand my grandfather. I've named it after him and the love he had. And now I look at my grandchildren and
Yes.
the light bulb goes off. I understand now what that beautiful love is. That beautiful, wonderful love that he had. I never knew him, and what he still has, and how he expresses it, and how he shows it. It's powerful stuff.
And it's real.
It
I
is
bet you're
real.
just like me. We have grandchildren, and I hope one day to have great grandchildren and great great grandchildren. That doesn't mean I will physically be here to see them, but I am definitely making choices now so that their lives,
Yeah. Yes.
right, can
Yes.
be better, clearer, cleaner, more compassionate and loving so we can leave them a world better than the one that we've been in. That's our love going forward.
Correct. And there's nothing like it. And it's funny when I hold my granddaughter or grandson, in view of the pictures, uh,
Yeah.
in view of all that, and I realize the miracle of creation and love and all these things, and the gratitude I have for being able to experience this
Yeah.
and to have it. Uh, um, and then I go watch a football game just to show you the balance
Well,
in life.
that's it, right? And while we have that grandparent connection, that's no more and no less than people that are dedicated to the environment and the oceans and to the animals. That love and that passion to make things better is expressed in a different way. And thank God for that, because we need all of it.
Well, we do.
We need all of it.
We do. We do. And we talked about, I go out from time to time and take the leaves of this birch tree in front of my house and hold the leaves and just convey feelings of love. It's just a beautiful thing, this tree, as I'm looking at the tree behind you. Diane, the values, uh, our values are so similar and experiences and journeys and stuff. That's why I was so anticipating this time. And there's a whole ton of stuff more, but we're gonna kind of wind down. Uh,
If people need a break.
yeah, and we can continue. The last thing, actually, how do you see the principles, the Be Love principles evolving? Are there new like revelations and deep layers and things that are coming up in teachings? Are you working on anything new?
So that's a great question. Because I would have said 5 years ago, oh no, here's what they are, and here's what you do, and that's it. Like any profound teaching, and I want to make sure I say again, they came through me because this is way more than anything I could think of, by the way. They came through me, right? I just was a receptacle to bring these to the world. The power and the application continues to deepen and evolve. The more I teach it, the more that people use them. I even did a case study on this, and I was amazed by how individual people took the principles and how they applied them to different situations. So just like every time you read any kind of a spiritual book, the Bible, the Course in Miracles, whatever it is, you can get different messages out of it because you're in a different place. The principles will grow and evolve with you as you grow and evolve. That's been my experience.
Okay. Okay. Nicely put. Nicely put. This time we've spent was sumptuous. Um, it's a word I picked up from watching that movie Norma Ray. Uh, the last thing that Ron Liebman said to Sally Field in the movie, knowing you has been sumptuous, so the time we spent now has been sumptuous.
Oh, what a
And
joy. What a joy to be here. And I'm
yeah, and
really
so
grateful. Thank
come back, come back. We can do panels, get some people together, talk about these things are so enduring. People need to hear this and learn it and breathe it and know it, and especially from people who are real regular people like you and I, who
like
you like
us.
Virginia Tech football, I like Rutgers football, and that's basic regular people experiencing these wonderful things. Love,
Yep.
you
I
know.
like grits and you didn't even know what they were. Yep.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And there's not a diner here in New Jersey. New Jersey is the diner capital of the world.
But
There's
no
more
good grits,
diners
I
here than
bet.
anywhere in the whole world, and there's not one diner here that serve grits for breakfast or lunch or dinner.
I'm not
So
surprised.
And and actually, South Jersey, there's a place in South Jersey, and I know I read it somewhere, and there's a place in South Jersey that actually crosses the Mason-Dixon line. I don't process that. I think of, the South, I'm thinking Georgia and Mississippi and Louisiana and Virginia. So, but anyway, Diane, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please come
Thank
back,
you.
and only good things, peace and love and all good things to you. Thank you so much for this. Don't leave. I'm just going to stop recording and we'll do a 2-minute wrap. Thank you for this and for you.